We're about ready to begin, guys. Welcome. We're gonna start by giving a quick background as to what this competition is all about. Beside me, I have Tyrell Morgan. He's right there. He is our corporate relations expert, and he'll be assisting me as needed. All right, so joining us today will be architect Gordon Gill, and he will be giving us his take on architecture and how we can go forward, or what we have planned for this competition. Hi, Richard. Welcome. Good to have you. Shall we join Architect Gill now?
Yes, we asked Architect Gill to just engage us in conversation and say hi if he's listening.
All right, so Architect Gill, if you're listening, you can say hi now, and we will share screen with you at this point. All right, so while we wait, the UDC, on behalf of the government of Jamaica today, the day right before the end of our registration period, we are so excited about this competition, and we have received rave reviews so far. We have over 80 persons who have pre-registered, and we have quite a number who are complete with registration or almost there. So we invite everyone who are interested in becoming a part of this competition to ensure that you register right now, right before the deadline closes, tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow is June 14th, because I'm sure this is going to be recorded as well. So we're inviting Gordon Gill to come forward. He's being connected at this time. Welcome, Winston. Thank you so much for joining us. Please ensure that you have your friends and your co-workers join us as well. We have a lot to share today, and we look forward to the interaction and questions as well. I got a question earlier asking about what is required for the registration. Just to bring you up to speed, all we need for registration is your completed registration form. We also require your payment of $20,000. We need to have your certificate of registration, your proof of payment, and your organizational chart. Those are the three items that must be uploaded to our online registration form, or to be printed and taken with you when you make the payment here at the UDC. So, Architect Gill will be joining us very shortly.
Just ask him to type that comment. Architect Gill.
How do I do that?
Just ask him. He's listening.
Could you make a type, Architect Gill, if you're listening? Just type something on the screen, and we will acknowledge you and bring you up for all to see. Welcome, Candice. Thank you for joining us as well. So, while we wait, the UDC, on behalf of the government of Jamaica, announced recently the launch of the Houses of Parliament Design Competition. It was launched on May 17, right there in Heroes Park. The competition runs from May 17 to February 2019, and we invite qualified and eligible Jamaican architects who are registered and licensed in Jamaica to submit their best representation of what the new House of Parliament should look like. This Parliament we expect to be one which will be exemplary, representing the true spirit of Jamaica, not just in the past and present, but what we expect to happen within the future. So this competition is big for Jamaica, and the concepts that we expect to come forward in a few months will be judged by our 7-panel jury. I'll tell you later who those jury members are. But while you listen, please join us on our website. Our website is www.ourjaparliament.com. The information is there for your taking. Persons have registered or pre-registered already. We expect that those persons must complete their registration before tomorrow. So remember, pre-registration is not the final step. Pre-registration gets you your proposal code, and it gives us your information and then allows you to see the documents. And once you see the documents, then you move forward to payment, and following payment you complete the registration form. All right, so Architect Gill is being added. Technology is an awesome thing, isn't it? We expect to have as much technology built into the new parliament as well. So for those who are not technical and savvy in that regard, we ask that you join up with someone who is, and make sure that the parliament is first world class to make Jamaica what it really should be going forward into the future. All right. So while we had Architect Gill, our Prime Minister himself, during his keynote at the launch, said that these discussions have been on the table for when? Over 50 years. So today is truly an historical day for the development and redevelopment of downtown Kingston. So we congratulate the UDC for this fitting milestone to mark our 50th anniversary. All right, so we have Heather Pinnock here with us as well, our Deputy General Manager. Thank you so much for joining us. And Architect Gill has sent his hello. We're still trying to connect him, so please give us a second. Thank you so much. Approve. Add. All right, so we're adding. It's coming up. Excellent. All right, so our Prime Minister also said, just imagine that in a few years from today, our National Heroes Park and the wider downtown area can be transformed into a vibrant, enviable, iconic destination. Welcome, Architect Gill. Are we all seeing you, and are you seeing us?
I can see you, Leighton. Am I on? Can you see me?
You are on. You are on. Welcome.
That is
our
a
viewership
miracle.
is growing and excited that you're here.
It's great to be here. I'm happy I made it.
All right. So since you're here, we know we have just a few moments with you. Please share with us your ideas where this competition is concerned, and also architecture from a broader perspective, and any specific projects that you'd like to share that will inspire our viewership at this point.
Well, before I do, I'd just like to say hello to everyone. I know Heather is on, I think, and I'd like to congratulate UDC on the amazing effort for the competition. It sounds like we're getting great responses and registrations, so that's exciting. I think that this project, as you mentioned, Leighton, is extremely significant and tremendously important to the country. As I mentioned to the GIA when we met with them, I think this is a moment for architects and designers and thinkers in Jamaica to really shine and contribute to the country in a significant way. I think that there are a number of great examples in Canada and elsewhere of government buildings, parliament buildings that occupy public open space and parklands and really enhance the programming and activities that go on in those spaces. And I think for the Jamaican public to have a Prime Minister and the UDC support and contribute to the public open space for the people of Jamaica is an amazing thing. So I think that I'm excited personally to see the results. I'm looking forward to seeing the submissions. I think when I visited the university and the college and walked through with the dean, I thought the work was outstanding. I thought it was thoughtful, insightful. I love the urban design and building design parameters and concepts that I saw. And I hope that the senior architects as well as the young architects get involved in this competition and really knock it out of the park, so to speak.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So give us an idea of any projects that you can think of in recent times that you have been involved in that can inspire our viewership as well?
Well, I think, we do a lot of master planning as well as architectural projects. There are a number of projects that we're working on in the Middle East, for example, for Expo 2020, which is a central park space with a number of 5 buildings that surround it, where the relationship between the park and the buildings are really, I would say, one kind of experience, daytime and nighttime experience. I think that the ability for those spaces to transform and really extend their use throughout the day, throughout the evenings, and throughout the weeks is really a significant way to think about how buildings can contribute to the programming of open space and vice versa. In this particular case, I think there are numerous projects like the Parliament buildings in Ottawa, for example, in Canada, that the activities and the kind of ceremonies that are conducted in that building become part of the public experience. And, that is a tremendously exciting opportunity for tourists to see how the government functions, for residents to observe how the government functions, and in reverse, for members of parliament to really engage with the public as they see fit, and really understand what these platforms are being discussed, what platforms are being discussed in the public realm, and they can be presented in the park or in the plazas that surround the building and really engage the government in a meaningful way. I think that the landscape component of this is very important. I think that will really help define the quality of the public space. And I think the building needs to speak to a future for Jamaica and its relationship between the government and the people. It needs to be, I would think it needs to be open, it needs to be accessible, it needs to have a scale and a quality to it that's conducive to the human scale. And all of that while still remaining and being iconic and powerful. And, that's the art of it. That would be the beauty of it.
I'd like to ask a fundamental question, and yes, I'm seeing here Ryan Duncan Devonish, who is in the UK doing his dissertation, and he's joining us.
Yeah. Hi, Ryan. Hey, Ryan.
I saw that. Welcome. Yes. Here's a question: why, in your estimation, Architect Gill, is a parliament building so significant and important for Jamaica this time?
Well, I think that I am personally experiencing a kind of new vision for the country, a new excitement around the country. I see things that are happening that I haven't seen in decades. And I'm excited for what the new government is trying to do. I don't think this is a short-term issue. I'm hoping that the positive attitudes that I see in Jamaica remain and become a long-term kind of standard for Jamaica's vision of how government should work and how people should engage the government and vice versa. I've heard from the Prime Minister himself that he wants it to be open and engaging. From a physical standpoint, I think the existing Gordon House building definitely has some serious challenges. We've walked through that space. But I think to center the building or to present the building on a major public space for all to see and to make that statement that it remains open and accessible, both metaphorically and physically to a certain degree, I think would be fantastic. I think the timing is great. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm in the country right now. At least I sense that when I'm there.
Definitely.
I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for Jamaica. It's an amazing country with amazing people and amazing talents, and it always has been. It always has been. And I think this is just another step in the history of the country making its outreach to the global community.
Awesome. We know that you are an international architect. You have been across the world to see and be a part of architecture in various countries. Just talk to us a bit about what architecture as a national asset would mean for this country and what you've seen it mean, for various other aspects of the world that you've been to?
Well, that's a great question. You know, great architecture can really contribute to the definition and status of a place.
Yes.
You know, we have seen it done through, super tall buildings with height, but we've also seen it done with incredible pieces of architecture by architects around the world who create a place, a sense of place, and define an architecture that makes a statement about the qualities and kind of interests of that country or that place. I think this is the ability that the Jamaican design community has, and I think this is an opportunity for, of all things, a parliament building to do. You see it a lot in cultural buildings, but to have it done in a government building would be incredibly special.
Awesome. That's my sentiments exactly. We are here encouraging folks to contribute to this process by registering by tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Registration has been open since May 17, and we have two methods of registration. The first one, which is most easiest for all, we would think, is that you would go online, go to our website or japarliament.com, pre-register, receive your proposal code, receive the documents, read through, make sure you're satisfied, and then go forward to make payments. Payments are made online or here at the UDC on the 8th floor at your cashier. And then you complete the registration form, add the proposal code, add the receipt number, your team members, and you submit it. And all that is done before 4 p.m. tomorrow. Now we see a question here from Whyte. It says, what is the main focus or role of Mr. Gill on this special project? Please, Architect Gill, that's your question.
Well, I have been asked to be the advisor or patron to the competition. So my role is really to help the UDC and the government along the kind of quality assurances and guidelines for the competition practice that is equitable, fair, just, and conducted in a professional manner. I am not competing in the project. I am not active in the design. There is a jury that I think Leighton described earlier that will judge the submissions. So my job is to just help oversee and help anyone I can that's involved in the process of executing the competition do that in a fair and just way.
Excellent. And to confirm what Architect Gill just said, we have in our terms and conditions document the points that relate to Architect Gill's involvement. One, he is to assist the sponsor with the development of the competition rules and entry criteria. He assists in planning and organizing and managing the competition process. He gives general oversight in ensuring that the competition is conducted fairly, with integrity, and ensuring all competitors are truly treated fairly. He also assists in the review and selection of the highly qualified jury, and he reviews and examines the preliminary program, the site, the budget, schedule to ensure that they are solid. He assists in informing submission requirements, assists in public relations as he's doing today, and he reports to the sponsor and the jury regarding program compliance from entries. So Architect Gill has been here with us, and we have had several talks with him. He has shared with us his views and his expertise, and here we are today at the crux of the closing of registration, which ends tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and he is here with us as well to answer any questions that you may have to pull you along the process to close your registration as well.
Leighton,
I just answered the question. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a question by Dion Campbell. Do you see that?
Yes, I've seen it now.
That's a great question.
Has consideration been given to the overseas-based Jamaican architect to enter? Yes, Dion. All we ask in our requirements is that you team up with a local registered and licensed architect, and you are able to enter this competition.
Yeah, we would love that.
Doesn't answer the question.
We would
Yeah.
love that.
What we want predominantly is that the competition is entered by Jamaicans, first and foremost. If you're a Jamaican overseas, you're quite welcome. If you're not Jamaican, team up with someone here who is registered and licensed here in Jamaica, and you are good to go. So you have just a few more hours to make some calls, Dion, and
Right.
get involved with someone here who is registered and licensed as an architect. Clear? All right. So that takes care of the role of Architect Gill. I mean, I didn't introduce him in detail earlier. Maybe I should just mention a few notes where he's concerned so that we're all familiar and comfortable. Our website has a few words on him. His sheet is extensive, so I won't go through all of that at this point. But you can go to the website, and which is orjaparliament.com. And once you go to the panel page, the panel page will show you Gordon Gill and his description. All right, so we have a question here also. Would he offer his expertise and knowledge along with the winner to make sure the project is of the highest standard, and also to give hint and idea with the winning designer team? How would you answer that, Architect Gill?
I am at the service of the client. So if that is something that the client or the architect who wins would like to do, I'd be more than happy to do that.
All right. I hope that has answered you clearly. But he is at he's here to help us, as an organizing body, to ensure that the competition is fair, and he will have some input at the end of the process where the jury submit their report. He will be a part of reviewing the report as well. So he's here to share with us. I just want to give you just a few words on his background so that you understand who we're talking with today. Gordon Gill is a Jamaican-born and internationally recognized architect who is one of the world's foremost exponents on performance-based architecture. He's born in Kingston, Jamaica, and he grew up in the parish of St. Anne and immigrated to Canada in 1974. That's around the time when I was born, where he ultimately achieved his undergraduate degree before achieving his master's in architecture from the University of Texas at Arlington and Harvard, respectively. His work, which ranges from the world's largest buildings to sustainable communities, is driven by his philosophy that there is a purposeful relationship between formal design and performance. And finally, that there is a language of performance, which is the basis of his practice. Form follows performance. I'd love for Architect Gill to just elaborate a little bit about that statement, form follows performance. But before he does that, I'd like to take this question from Ryan. Would there be a specific role of the local architect when they team up with the international architect? All right, so what we have scheduled for this competition and beyond is, once this architect and his team have won this competition and they have successfully completed the negotiation process, this team or this person would move forward into contract administration. So to perform architecture in Jamaica, you must either be temporary registered or fully registered here. And to be temporary registered, you still have to team up with a local architect to be a temporary registered architect here in Jamaica. You can go to the ARB website, and you can find more details on that. So basically, the role of the local architect in a team with an international architect, the local architect would ensure that the project goes according to local standards, and also be the architect on record to see the project through to its end. So the international architect, along with the local architect, would come up with designs and also would be a part of contract administration. But the long and short of it is that the local architect is the person who leads and is on record for the competition and for the design and for contract administration. So the end product of this entire process is really to get a team and an architect or an architect to go forward into contract administration and see this project to its full completion. All right. You're welcome, Ryan. So we've answered your question. Now, Architect Gill, just give us a few words on form follows performance. What does that mean to you and your firm?
Well, that's really a statement that we use as a method of practice so that we understand as we design buildings, why do they look the way that they look? What is the relationship between solar gain or solar absorption or reflectance? What is the relationship between cross ventilation, wind behavior characteristics, water, geological issues? If we want the building to perform at its highest level from a sustainable standpoint, can we use the environmental aspects of our site to improve that performance? And can we do that through the form of the building? So can we shape the building to speak to the site? I think there's a number of ways that buildings can become contextual. I think physical context or physical relationships are one of them. I think environmental relationships is another. And when you combine those two, I think it can be a very strong kind of contemporary yet indigenous approach to architecture.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so we have a question or a few questions here. Let's see if we can answer all of them now. The first one is from Whyte. He is a mechanical and NDT guy, but he likes what he's seeing and just wants to know the building is one to be reckoned with when it's finished. Okay, so that's a statement. Yes, we agree, and we would love to see this design and this structure, whatever it is that comes forward from the winners, that it is cutting edge. And you heard Architect Gill mention about form follows performance, cutting edge designs that we are looking forward to. And Hodges has a question: how important is it to include all the team members when registering? We'd like to be able to bring people in as we move forward. It is not clear in the documents if it will be possible. All right, I'm not seeing the rest of the question, but the long and short of it is that at this stage, you can add a few members that you intend to work with. We expect it to change over time. So at the end of the submission process, you should be able to be more concretized with who your team is. You can put the additional members at that point. When we get into stage 2 and you're the winner, we will also require some additional team information. So at this point, it's preliminary. Your team can be 2, 3, 20 persons. We haven't stipulated the amount. So once you put the a few persons who you intend to work with, so we have an idea. The point of us asking for your team organizational structure and the team members is for us to have an idea of your team composition, and we should be able to know their national. Sorry, 15% minimum, 50% minimum Jamaican. We want to know that this project, when it's finished, it was designed by Jamaicans. and then we move into building by Jamaicans as well. All right, so I hope I answered your question, Ann Hodges. Do you have anything to add, Architect Gill?
No, I think that's a great question and a valid one. I think it's important for us to understand the primes, and if we have an architect of record and a prime design group, that's really what we want to understand. I would expect that the sub-consultants could be added later, and that would be a part of negotiation between the architect and them. So I wouldn't expect that submitting architects right now would have their full team defined, but I think the primes would be defined.
Excellent. All right. Winston, the selected winner at stage 2, you mentioned they will go into contract administration, but also bear in mind that there is another process which would be the approvals and review by the state agencies. You're so correct. There are a couple of steps that I haven't mentioned. I've just given the overarching process. What we
Are you there?
What we expect. All right. Right. So once a person or team completes the competition process and we, engage in negotiations, and we have now confirmed you as the architect and the design that will move forward into contract administration, then you would move into a period when you would complete your construction documentation. And then this documentation will go through levels of reviews and approvals by our agencies, as was rightly mentioned. We would also, within that process, select a contractor, and that contractor, along with the design and the architect, then would move forward to put this project in the ground. So there are a couple of steps after the competition is ended, but where we are now is that we want you to get your foot in the door by completing registration now. Registration ends when? June 14. That's tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So you have options to go to our website and complete the registration there, or you can, when you get the documents after pre-registration, you can come in to the office at UDC and make your stake your interest here. If you don't have a registration form and it's completed and your proposal code, all that, if you don't have that, then you don't have a say, and you won't be able to make your name known in history as one person who contributed to the development of this country through the design competition. All right, so Architect Gill, we have a 7 jury member panel. Could you talk to us a little about what is expected of this jury in this process?
Well, the jury, I think, is of a very high standard and is a very diverse collection of professionals. I think the expectations are that there will be a kind of equitable analysis of the submissions, that the intent of executing an iconic piece of architecture as a parliament building for Jamaica that meets the program, but also elevates the standard of design to a much higher level would be reached. I'm sure that they're going to want to understand the context of the building and what that means within the surrounding neighborhoods. And I'm sure that the public spaces that are associated with the park and the building will come into play as they review the projects. So I think that, the jury, at least in the brief discussions that I've had with some of the members, was very well equipped to move this project forward.
Just to close on that point, Architect Gill, the members of the jury are Mark Raymond. He is a chair of the Association of Commonwealth Societies of Architects in the Caribbean. We have Jackie Ann Lawton. She is the head of school at CSA UTEC. We have Dr. Elizabeth Figu Dennis. She is associate professor at CSA UTEC as well. We have Dwight Ricketts. He is the president of the Jamaican Institute of Engineers, sorry. Martin Addington. He is the president of the Jamaica Institute of Planners and the chair of the Construction Industry Council. We have Richard Picard. He is our UDC representative, senior architect on the panel. And we have the president of the Jamaican Institute of Architects, Christopher Liu. So we have a wide cross-section of jurors, and they are ready and raring to go. We have met with them several times. They have gone through the documents and they have given their endorsement, and we are ready. All we need is for you to close on your registration to move forward. So we have a question here, Architect Gill. This question is for you from Ann Hodges. She asks, is it felt by many? It is felt by many that the rectangular area within which to site the building at the center of the park is unduly restrictive. What would be your advice to the jury if the building were placed elsewhere?
My advice to the jury would be to take into consideration the suggested location, and if it meets the criteria of the project and it meets the criteria of the client, it should be considered. If it's violating the criteria to the point where it's not acceptable by the client, then I think you're at risk for your submission. But I think the architects should define and decide where within the site that was given is the best location for the project that yields the greatest public space and the greatest iconic statement.
Thank you, Architect Gill. We also would want to mention that the rectangular area that is outlined on the site is significantly larger than the actual 11.7 acres that is specified in the Act from 1950 odd. I don't remember the date right now. The point I'm making is that we have given you allowance to place the overall boundaries of the 11.4 acres or less. I mean, you can determine what the size of your site will be. What we have given you are the restraints where we don't want it to go below a certain number or above a certain number. So that has been stipulated in the terms and conditions of the contract, of the competition, as well as the design brief. So we encourage you to stay within that boundary and create your own smaller boundary within that where you will place the structure. It's also good to mention that the building, if placed on one floor, is a little less than 3 acres, if placed on one floor, right? But we expect it to be 2 to 3 floors at minimum. And if you put that one floor on the ground, on grade, you're looking at 1/50th of the entire park. So it's a pretty small footprint in relation to the rest of the site. So you really have a large area to play with based on the restraints that we have given in our documents. Yes, Architect Gill, you're itching to say something.
I think that's actually the challenge of the competition.
Yes.
I think the irony is that I think there's a concern about the physical size of the building when in fact that it may be too big. When in fact I think the challenge will be, can you make an iconic statement with a building that occupies only 1/50th of the park?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will be the architectural challenge. And so I think there's lots of room and lots of opportunity to create space around the building or to position the building in a discrete manner and still make it iconic. And I think that's going to be the beauty and the challenge to the jury as they see this variety of submissions.
That is a challenge. And we know that our local architects, as well as our international architects, forming teams can come up with something exemplary and we're looking forward to these creative designs. Welcome, Matthew McFarlane. We are almost at the end of our session. I know Architect Gill had mentioned that he only had a few minutes with us. Do you have any final points to share with us, or you'd like to go for another 2 hours? You can let us know.
I wish I was there, but unfortunately, I do have to run. But I want to thank all of those who participated today, and it's great to see the questions. I think they're excellent questions and very fair questions. And I think that I think there's a lot of opportunity for the creativity, and I think that the architects who are participating will have ample opportunity within the site that's given to do something amazing for the country. So I'm excited for that. I wish you all the best, and good luck with the process for closing it out tomorrow. And I think I'm looking forward to coming down and seeing the results soon, a few months.
Excellent, Architect Gill. Thank you so much.
All the
We
best.
have a few questions. I'll field them in your absence. So thank you so much for joining us.
All the
And
best.
we will hear from you very shortly.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, so we're still here, folks. We have a few questions. Let me respond to them. All right. Winston asking about any restrictions to the north of the park and outside of the rectangular area. The north of the park is free for you to make any designs related to recreational area, green space, or complex. For the parliament itself is to be within the restricted area with its center as stipulated on the proposed site within the design brief. That page, let me say the exact page, page 31, shows the proposed site and its boundaries. The center of that site is where you would place the center of your design, and it would emanate from that center. It should not pass 113 meters north or south of it, and then it can go all the way to the edge on the left or right. So we expect to have this design proposal being within this area, within these 2 dotted yellow lines. The rest of the park is free for you to make any design as you see fit that concerns green space and the access to your site, etc. How it is that you want to have approach. As Parliament is opened yearly, there are processions. How would you accommodate for these processions? These are the points that you would have to contend with in your design. What about the recreational green space? Well, as I mentioned, Fiona, this is where your creativity comes into being. We are not hard and fast judging on recreation and open space, but this is a part of your creative input. We expect you to come up with something that is relevant to the communities around, to Kingston at large, and for Jamaica. So your parliament building or complex would sit in a context that you create, as long as this is within the confines of the park. All right, so is the design of the park limited to the outlined 11 acres? Yes, we have a restriction or a constraint by the George VI Act, which speaks to only 11.4 acres allowable for a parliament building. So the 11.4 acres, as I said, and I can go back to the document, it speaks to about 130,000 square feet requirement for the building itself. That's about a little under 3 acres. So if it's designed well, you won't even need to use 11 acres whatsoever. It's going to be even half of that. So 11.4 is quite generous as space that is required for the parliament building. All right, so I see Mark Raymond has joined us. Mark Raymond is our jury chair. He's from Trinidad. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark Raymond. And as you have said, yes, good luck to everyone. So we're about winding down now. We're closing in about 5 minutes. And all we're saying today, today is the day. Today is what? The day. We have literally a few hours left before registration ends. I want to be specific, so let me tell you exactly um, how much time that you have left. I don't want to scare you, but we only have 9 hours, 10 minutes, and 20 seconds. Well, 15, 14, 13 seconds and counting. Is that right? No? It ends at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Okay? So that would be 24 hours. 24 hours, maybe 25 hours, because it's 3 o'clock now. 25 hours. So there needs to be an adjustment on the clock that I'm seeing here on my website. So about 25 hours left for you to do your registration. You can register in the middle of the night. You can register at 2 in the morning because it's all online. Make your payments online, complete the registration online, and make your submission. We will see it here once we get in tomorrow morning. And as I said, you have until 4 o'clock tomorrow to complete this registration. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Do we have any final questions as we go? I trust that we have answered all the questions that have come forward thus far. If we have not answered your questions sufficiently, or if you have any further questions, please email us at designcompetition@udcja.com, and we will respond to you accordingly. If you need help with your registration process, because we have gotten several calls, several questions that show interest, and also just persons need their hands to be held through the process, we are here for you. You can call us at UDC, and if you go to the website, you will see the contact details. I can tell you just now, if you're unable to go to the website for any reason, the number is 656-8031, and ask for the Design Competition Secretariat. Someone will answer you and will help you with the process. We got some questions just early this week in terms of persons who are overseas and would like to make payments, if payments are received through a US account. And the answer is yes. We also have a US account. Once you make a call to us, we will help you with that information. So you can write us at Design Competition, and we'll tell you where to make this payment and how it is done. So we are facilitating you every way possible. You can make payments online. You can use a US account. You can come here at UDC and make payments. You can call us. You can write us. You can go to the email address, designcompetition@udcja.com, or you can go to our website or japarliament.com. We would like for you, as I close, to also share with us on social media. We're on Facebook. Where are we on? We're Instagram. The handle is JA Parliament. So please join us along this journey. We'll be updating you as we go along in terms of what the next steps are. And also you will see at the appropriate time the designs that have come forward. You'll see your design, and you'll see the others that have come forward, and you will hear the jurors' comments, and those who have won the first stage and who are moving to the second stage, and who will be the final winners. So there are several milestones along the way, and we will invite you to stay with us, stick with us as we continue to share with you. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We had 15 persons today. We had Architect Gill join us today in person. We also had several questions that we fielded. We are now closed, and we look forward to hearing from you. My name is Architect Leighton Whyte. I am Senior Project Manager here at the UDC, working on this most historic project. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Matthew, Mark, all the persons who have shared with us, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Have a good evening, and God bless.